Today on our 5-Minute Leadership Podcast, it's a privilege to have my good friend Timothy Loh from Every Nation, Malaysia, to talk to us today. Timothy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Pastor Steve. What an honor to be here.
Timothy, what's the most challenging situation you've ever faced as a leader?
I have kind of two in my mind, and we can go either one. The first one is to transit the church from an event base to a discipleship base. The other one is to lead the church through a failed building project and to end up where we are with a successful building project.
I was recently in your building, and it's hard to imagine any failure involved in that. That is an amazing worship facility and event center. When you say failure, how could that possibly have any failure involved?
A couple of years ago, we saw a piece of land, and we prayed, and we really felt so clearly that God wanted us to build.
Okay.
So we raised the fund. Took us about 5 years to get the approval. At the end of that 5 years, when we wanted to build, we realized that the budget has grown to more than 100%. So that really threw all of us off guard. And we knew that it was too big of a financial challenges for us to climb.
What about the people who say, well, just use faith?
We are consistently full of faith. There were prophetic words. In fact, I think one of the biggest, most inspirational moments for me when we bought the land was the Lord spoke to me that God is going to give us businessmen that I didn't even know exist. So our biggest giver came from lots of businessmen that we didn't know that they exist by then. So in many ways, faith was consistently there. I think when the reality to know that the financial gap is too big, what I did was I weighed through a couple of seasons. I gave a 3 months gap, waiting for potentially another big giver that can come in to bridge it. I think in that journey, I weighed for about 6 months. When that didn't come through, I felt it is wiser to not continue the project and be at faith consistently for God to provide another door.
What did you do then?
Wow. I think the best way to lead as a leader is to always lead ourselves first. So I think what I did was, obviously I went through a moment where I was depressed, or I plunged into depression, really don't know how to tell the church something that you felt the Lord has led you, but it didn't turn out the way you want it to be. I did a couple of homework, obviously. I started to look around for other possibility. I spoke to other leaders. I spoke to you. I spoke to different leaders in the movement to get wisdom. And I think most of all, I quiet out myself and be silent unto God and just surrender this thing unto the Lord.
Sometimes for leaders, moments like this, we want to put a positive spin on something. How did you navigate that as far as being honest with the congregation?
Honesty was the only way I know how to pastor a church or how to lead a church. Full honesty with the leaders first, and told them the situation. And then I went to the entire church and honestly telling them that if we were to just take a simplicity lens of faith, I knew that it was really impossible to do it. And I felt that by doing so, we will jeopardize the church and everything that we are doing. When I did that, I gotten the support of the church to stand together with us. And I think the church owned the challenge together as we believe God for the next open door, which happens months after that. When we were looking for an option, the building opposite us was available to sales.
Opposite, right across the
Right
parking
across,
lot.
just about 20 steps away, just a nice spot, and it was available. Through a series of miracles, actually, the owner decided to sell it to us. We had so many competitors because it was a very prime industrial lot. In fact, it was the only industrial lot available in a city context. So everybody was eyeing for that. But they decided to sell it to us. And the other miracle God did was He opened the door for someone to buy the land that we purchased.
The original land that you didn't build on.
Yeah. We earned double out of that.
So it made you look like a brilliant real estate investor.
All of a sudden, okay?
Yeah.
And that helps us to fund the next building that we are on, and also all the renovation and what. I mean, to cut a long story short, today we own both facility, our old facility and our new facility, and we are debt-free. And we are so grateful to God for that.
Timothy, thanks. Thank you for the time here. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
And the lesson of this is, yes, it's faith, but we've got to have wisdom mixed with our faith. But really I think the key part of this is also patience. And sometimes we get ahead of God and we have a word that we're going to do something, and it's really God's will, but maybe it's not now. So always move in faith. Make sure you add wisdom and patience to that faith.